Hey everybody, it is Captain Britten here with World of Mist, and we are finally going to review the Egyptian mythology expansion and hopefully all of the neutral cards that came with it. Just in case I don't have them, we're going to do that. I think I actually have... No, I don't have all. I was like, I think I have all common and rare cards for Egyptian, but I don't. So, let's just kind of dive on in. Most of these cards, like flower pots, you only need to run in like a Bass deck. I don't think you need... I mean, flower pots is not bad, but it's only... The main benefit of it comes from Bass deck. Kind of same with Clumsy Apprentice. Like, when would you... It's a 1-cost 2/1. I don't really think that deserves the deaths there that it has. You never want to run this card in Nephthys deck because she pulls it back and it would keep triggering the deaths there. Maybe it's not bad because you're potentially dealing 2 damage to your opponent's temple and you're only losing 1 as the drawback. But it's a very common card, so I guess it's not that bad for what you get out of a common card. Repurposed materials, definitely great. It's essentially another siege tactics. Especially beneficial in Horus deck. Right, his name is Horus. Yeah, whoops. Maintenance crew, definitely great. You get to restore health to the target temple. You could run that in any deck. Any Egyptian deck, rather. So, again, these 4, not bad common cards, but they're kind of what you want out of a common card. They're not super great, but they're also not bad, and they work in a very specific deck. Most of them, anyways, Maintenance Crew can go in any. It's beneficial in Horus more so than Nephthys or Osiris, because Osiris and Nephthys, there are cards that are better, and this would be one that you would cut from them. Training Grounds. At the start of your turn, the weakest friendly unit gains power. Any deck. It's just great. It's only 2 costs, so the longer it stays there, the more it will benefit you. Really great in Bast. I mean, any upgrade is going to be great in Bast. So there's that. Journey to Duat. Kill target friendly unit and resurrect it. Great Osiris card. Great Nephthys card because you get to trigger a death stare and you resurrect it. And in Nephthys, when... Oh wait, Nephthys is when you play a death stare. But Osiris would give whatever unit you just killed a new power and endurance. So definitely, if you want to play around with Resurrect, you need Journey Duat and Return from the Grave, because obviously a Resurrect unit, and it's great. Condemned Warrior sucks when you play it. When you play it from hand, it sucks. Because that's really not worth it, but the 2 Endurance kind of gives a hint that there's more to this card than meets the eye, and that is when you resurrect it, it doesn't have the summon ability because of how summon works. So this is one instance where I really, really like that Resurrect does not trigger the summon effect, because things like that. Restore Room. When the sim takes damage, you restore 1 health. Great Horus card. Not much more to that. Scarab Swarm. Shuffle this card into your opponent's deck upon death stare. Gets it out of your way. Doesn't go into your graveyard. Downside is it can come right back and then eat that way up. So that's not the best play. Well, I mean, if I were to run a Death Stare card, I would not pick this card. This one, it's a fun mechanic, but I just don't really see much utility in it. Priest of the Guardian, target friendly temple gains 2 health. Definitely a good priest. Priest of the Alabaster, same thing. Except this is more of a Bast card. Priest of the Guardian, I think it's meant to reflect Horus, because you're dealing damage to your own temples, or you would want to. This is a way to counter that. Priest of Afterlife, I'm pretty sure it's meant to be an Osiris priest, but it is also a great Nephthys Priest, which Priest of the Coven is definitely Nephthys. So these two can definitely go in both, or in Osiris deck. Both can go in Nephthys decks. Priest of Afterlife could really go almost anywhere. Oh, but the main benefit is in Osiris. And in Priest of Coven, as I said, Nephthys, one of her best cards. Emissary of the Wanderer, target friendly unit that was resurrected gains 2 power. Awesome. I mean, you want to use it in Osiris or Nephthys. I originally ran it, but then I quit running it because, yes, you get to give a resurrected unit 2 power, but it's a 3-drop, and you're never playing it on turn 3 or on turn 1 because you've never resurrected a unit by then. Generally, you're not resurrecting or playing on turn 4 because your unit that you haven't resurrected either hasn't died or you don't have a resurrected card in hand that you want to use. So I eventually cut this one. It's not a bad card. The synergies are there. It's just, I think it should be a little bit lower cost just because of it requires something that's not a great turn 3 drop. So it looks like it's a 3-drop. It looks like it will help your mana curve, but it's kind of a fake card because you would not fake card it. You would actually be playing on turn 5 or 6, not turn 5 or 6, turn 3 or 4. Burial Chamber. This is ridiculous. When this upgrade is destroyed, return top units from your graveyard to your hand. So, any Egyptian deck, this is going to be worth it. If you can return units from your graveyard to your hand, it's amazing. Osiris, maybe not the best, and Nephthys, maybe not the best, because you have free ways of getting units from your graveyard to the battlefield rather than having to bring them back to your hand and then summon them. But you could use it in their decks. Undying Guardians, a simple attack, put a defending mummy on your left flank. You have to put a mummy on the field, and Tut would love this, except it's not when you summon a mummy. So, I don't know. And I haven't seen this card played at all, other than for a Bast temple upgrade that you replace. But maybe it could be. I've yet to see this card be good. Stoneworker, gain power when you summon our builder. Great for builder synergy. Is a 3-drop. Really, really good there. Dune Scavengers is a builder. Turn to upgrade from your graveyard to your hand. Most likely not going to be seen in Osiris or Nephthys decks. You'll see it in Horus or Bast or Bastet decks because they're the ones who deal more with upgrades. Whereas like Handmade, you will probably only see in Nephthys because with the Death Stare of constantly drawing a card in the one-time play of discarding your leftmost card, which for the most part you're going to be resurrecting in a Nephthys deck, super great card for Nephthys. And then you can continually cycle by drawing, and you risk fatiguing, but with the power level of the Egyptian leaders and Nephthys especially, you should not die from fatigue unless you've misplayed. Contract Builder can't attack unless you have an upgraded temple. For the most part, you will always be able to trigger this. But it says he can only not attack. He can block all he wants. So, definitely not a bad common card whatsoever. Heliopolis Mason, put Clumsy Apprentice on your right on a summon ability, which is, the Clumsy Apprentice is this guy. So, definitely a Horus card, but beyond that, yeah, it's a pretty sucky card. Curse Seal, units attacking this temple have -1 power. And then after it takes damage, remove this upgrade. Which, now that I think about it, not all upgrades have that little stipulation. I thought they all did. So, some are permanent. Like this Undying Guardians, until the temple's destroyed. So, it's a great defensive seal. Definitely in Bast. You could run it in other decks, but I don't. Again, it would be taking up space in an Osiris or Nephthys deck, or even Horus. So I don't know if you want to run it. Temple to Meek, when you summon a priest, your weakest unit gains power. Super great for priest synergies. There are so many priests right now. I have not made a priest deck, but the synergy is there and the power level's there to where you could run a priest tribal deck and probably maybe not Nephthys, and in any other you could run it. Temple Militia, this is why Bass is great, because she summons these, gain power when you replace an upgrade. It's used to not be that, but the power level is still freaking amazing when you do it. So it just takes longer for it to happen. So Temple Militia's great. Don't know if you actually ever need to run them in your deck because Bass summons these, and that's going to be the one where you're actually doing this. So don't think you actually need this card anywhere. King Tut. Is it King Tut? I don't remember if he's king. Pharaoh, whatever. When you summon a mummy, all friendly units gain power. That's there, put 2 mummies in your hand. So he has a static ability that can't be triggered unless you have ways of bringing Tut back onto the battlefield. Nephthys, where you can keep bringing Tut back, is great. And especially with the deaths there. Osiris, because you want Tut to die. So with Osiris, he's not a great addition. But once you get some mummies in your hand, each time you play one from hand, all friendly units gain a power. And say you somehow get 2 Tuts on the board, this is just ridiculous. It's super, super good. Once you get it rolling, it just takes a while. So it is not an early game card. It's a very late game card and ability. Overseer Samut, your builder and upgrades cost 1 less. Great builder synergy, great upgrade synergy. You could use either one. You don't have to have a builder tribal deck for this card to be worth it. Just having one of these be cost 1 less is amazing. So definitely an inclusion that you need for Bast or probably Horus. Mummify is a great defense card. Goes in any deck to transform a target unit into a mummy. So you can stop this Tut shifting business. This card shuts down most Osiris decks and most Nephthys decks. Well, let me change that. It doesn't shut down the deck. It shuts down particular synergies that your opponent is killing you with. So definitely need Mummify if you can't keep up with the power level. Mass Traveler, Desert, put a Condemned Warrior onto the battlefield. Super good, especially since it comes onto the battlefield. And if you run this in Nephthys, you can constantly have a Condemned Warrior. It's really ridiculous. So, I don't know much about that. It's a great common card. 4 cost for a 1/1, not the best, but you do get 3/2 in stats, so essentially it's a 4 cost for 4 power and 3 endurance over 2 bodies. Which, having the multiple bodies, it's a good card. This would definitely rank it pretty high. Desert Watchman, +1 power for each adjacent builder. Meh. If you have a lot of builders, it's good. If you don't, not worth it. Majed Fish, great no matter where. This card can go in any deck. Yes, it's a Death Stare, and Nephthys really benefits from it. But beyond that, it is still a good card. Because the weakest unit gains a power and an endurance. And the endurance is the important part with that beast. Feline Garrison, only good in Bast decks. I don't really see much else play outside of Bast. Bubastis reserves, you can only play during defense, and you put a ready Temple Militia on each of your flanks. You need to have a center card. You need to have 1 card on the board, and then you can bring out 2 of these. Might be good. I have not seen this card played, and I don't think it will. because for 4 cost, you can play 2 restore rooms and replace 2 temples, and you would summon another temple militia for Bast. Oh wait, no. Not with how she now is, 'cause you only get to play 1. So, maybe since nerf of Bast, it would be good. Beyond that, I'm not seeing much. Stop it. Medjay, super great, especially in Nephthys decks. You could even play it in I've played it in Osiris decks because you can buff the power of this card and then it will go onto another creature. Essentially, the power just never stops with Medjay. Open the Tombs, definitely great. You resurrect the most expensive unit with costs equal or lower to your maximum faith, which in the early game, so like 5 would be when you have 5 faiths. So even playing it, you want to summon something 5 or more. It's a great late game card. I would not run 2 copies of it. I would only run 1. Just because every time generally when I draw even with 1, it's not when I want to use it. And I'm wind up hanging onto the card forever and not actually using it until way later. Emissary of the Accuser, definitely you need an Osiris. Outside of Osiris, you would have to be... I don't think Bast or Horus would ever run Emissary of the Accuser. I think that's only an Osiris card for it to be useful. It's going to have... It's worth the 5 mana to do this. But if you really want to get benefit, run in an Osiris. Name hero, owner of faces. When you resurrect a unit, ready it. If you run any resurrecting cards, you need this epic. Hands down. Even Nephthys, because Nephthys does resurrect things. It's still a good card. So if you run any resurrects, more than like 4 resurrect cards, you need this. Sanctify goes in every deck. Super good. 5-star. Definitely a great card. Guardian of Duet and Golden Chariot, they're both about the same. If you want to be aggro, Guardian of Duet, hands down, definitely. If you want to be defensive, Golden Chariot. I have not ran either one because you can increase the power with Osiris, and then Nephthys has other cards those would be taking up space. Lecture Priest. All priests have a +1 power. Great synergy. Super good card. Especially if you want a priest. Amenhotep, the Magnificent. When this friendly temple takes damage from a card effect, the weakest enemy temple takes that much damage. You need this in Horus. Because you deal however much, it's whenever. It's not just when one temple gets dealt one amount of damage. It's every time one of your friendly temples gets damage from a card effect. Which, from a card effect, is weird wording. Because I guess what it's saying is not just from a regular attack. I guess that's the distinction. It's still weird to me. It's a weird worded. I don't know how I would change it though. I don't know. Or maybe just from an ability kind of thing. I don't know. But definitely great Horus card. Hands down, super great. Ramses. I think we've talked about Ramses. Ramses is awesome. I have a deck specifically named after him. He's freaking amazing. I love the card. My favorite card. I think I played like 15 straight games with this Osiris and Ramses deck. He was one I crafted. Yeah. I think my videos will say how good Ramses is. Emissary of the Bestower. Resurrect a unit. Gains 1 endurance. Good in Osiris. The downside with this card. There is a major downside with it. The major downside, we're going to skip ahead a bit, is Herald of Legends. You resurrect a 6-cost unit. So right now you have these 7 6-cost units. And in Osiris, you would want to resurrect Ramses. You always want to resurrect Ramses. He could be in Nephthys as well, but he just doesn't have Death Stare. so I don't think you would run him outside of Ramses. Ramses does give him an endurance, but Emissary of the Bestower is also 6 costs, and you don't want to resurrect it ever, 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 ever. So I'm gonna skip ahead again. The only time you would run Emissary of the Bestower is because it has 2 power. So when you can play Emit and get rid of it from your graveyard, then it is worth it. But beyond that, it's it's worth the 6 mana, but it has a lot of drawbacks. Imhotep, Prodigal Builder. Draw the most expensive upgrade and reduces cost by 2. What would be the most expensive upgrade? That's this. If you have this card and you don't have Worldly Wanderer, probably don't run it. Probably. It's still going to be worth the 6 faith that you spend for it, but if you're not playing it for Worldly Wanderer, I don't think you need to run it. I think there would be better cards to replace it with than to do that. But if you need filler and you have this card, go for it. Grand Architect. All friendly units have pleasant power, while all temples have upgrades. So when your temples are full health, you need 3 upgrades. When you only have 2 temples left, you only need 2 upgrades. 1 temple left, and you only have 1. So the later in the game, this becomes a better card because it's easier to trigger, and all friendly units having +1 power is amazing. So, hands down, super great. Cleopatra, the Last Pharaoh. Kind of talked about her when I revealed her. You put 2 most expensive units from your deck onto the left flank, and you give them Doomed. So whatever you're summoning, you want to die. You do not trigger the summon ability, which is kind of the downside, but say you have High Priest here, or this High Priest of Abydos, or Sadis, or something that has a static effect, and you want them on the board. Sephir, Duaj, Emit, and Apep you don't want, because you need their summon abilities. So Cleopatra basically has these, 6 cards to choose from. You want to build a deck around this to where your 2 most expensive units, and you probably want to pick 4 that you're counting on just in case if you draw 2 or some of them. And it's giving them Doomed, so you kind of it's something that you want to die. So this High Priest would be definitely worth it. Sadis would be worth it just because you can resurrect her, and her static effect is worth having 1 swing. Because, say you boost a temple's health. Say it's your only temple and you boost its health to 20 or something super ridiculous like the weekly challenge right now. And then it gets down to 1. This has power equal to that. You only need to swing once with her. So, she's a good pick. But any card with a summon ability, you don't want Cleopatra to hit. Because then you don't have a good way of actually triggering their summon ability. So, she's kind of specific. And you need to build a deck around her. She's not one you just throw in. I crafted her simply because I revealed her. And I wanted her. I wanted to try it out. And there was a lot of I've ran in with a lot of problems with Cleopatra. So you just need to be more specific in your deck building. Project Manager, gain power equal to the number of friendly builder units. You want to have a full board. You need to make this a 4 power creature. Outside of that, it's a pretty crap card. Has a Hatshepsut, maybe? The Noble. The first upgrade you replace each turn returns to your hand. Super great for Bast. Super, super, super great. Need her in that deck, and outside that deck, probably don't need her. Sadis, need an Horus, but you could really run it in any deck. Just to utilize her power and kind of break it, you would need it to be in a Horus or Bast deck. Anuket, plus 2 power for each turn until 1 upgrade. Basically only Bast. I don't see you ever running this outside of that. But Heart of Legends we've kind of talked about. Really only need an Osiris. Emissary of the Foretell, resurrect you and put a 1/1 copy on its left. You would think only an Osiris, but Nephthys is also great. And if you can hit Ramses, if you can hit Tut, if you can hit this High Priest, this just gets bogus good. Because then you have 2 copies of whatever unit it is to continue to pull back. And it just, this can snowball so well. And it's so fun. So, Emissary Foreteller, great in those 2 decks. Outside, maybe. Like, if you got a 1/1 of Sadis, that's pretty good too. But, it would be kind of hard to pull that one off in another deck. But maybe, you can do it. Tomb Infantry. Oh wait, we skipped High Priest. We kind of already talked about this. Friendly units with Death Stare have +1 power. The most expensive enemy unit gains doomed upon its own death. Only in Nephthys deck is this good, because she's the one constantly running Death Stare units. You pretty much need this in a Nephthys deck. If you don't have this, you don't need this. But it greatly increases the power of Nephthys if you have this High Priest. Tomb Infantry, if you just need a very high cost regular creature, run it. But honestly, these other 7 drops are so much better. Worldly Wander. Project. Restore a temple to full health. Put a building crew into your hand. If you control 3 building crews, transform into Worldly Wander. So, it's an upgrade. I'm not sure how you... The only way I can see of you getting 3 building crews is you put this in on the temple, you restore its health, you replace that upgrade. You draw Worldly Wonder back into your hand, you replace it again, you now have 2, and then, or you replace the other upgrade with Worldly Wander. Then you replace Worldly Wander, it goes in your graveyard, then you pull the Worldly Wander back, and now you have 3 upgrades. And in Worldly Wander, it cannot be targeted by spells. Friendly units have +5 power. So, let's see. You have to play Wander once. You have to replace it. You have to get it back. Then you have to do that again. Because then you have to play it, replace it, get it back, play it one more time. So 7 times. You need 7 cards to go in a very specific order to get this benefit. If you can do that sequence, you deserve having friendly units with +5 power. And the fact that it can be targeted by spells and unit abilities means that it can't be destroyed. And each time you're doing it, you are restoring its symbol to full health. So, yeah. And all you gotta do is play the 3 building crews and it transforms into this, and those building crews can die. I don't know what a building crew is yet, because I haven't actually made that card and ran it, but if you can pull, it's a card that, if you can pull it off, it is super amazing. So, then you have Sephir and Duage. Sephir, hands down, can go in any deck, because you're resurrecting the strongest unit. And there's a ton of strong units across every Egyptian deck. Where this is super good is in Osiris when you're pulling back Ramses, because Ramses will eventually be your strongest unit. I don't have much else to say about Sephir, other than that he's a freaking cool lion. Like, come on, both of these are cool. Then Duage, resurrect the 4 weakest units and kill them. You need a Nephthys, and the problem with this card is you need a empty board. And I know that sounds hilarious because Nephthys almost always has a creature on the board. So kind of the downside with Duage. But once you get Duage, even if you have 1 creature on the board, this would summon 3 units and you get to kill them. That's still worth 8 mana because you leave a 5/2. So I love these 2 lines. They're amazing. Emit, Devourer of the Dead. His name says it all. He devours the dead in your graveyard, and he gains the power for each. Great graveyard sweep. If you're running Death Stare units, he's not really good in Nephthys, because Nephthys, most of her units have 2 power. But say no Osiris, it's just you wipe your graveyard and you leave room for Ramses and a whole bunch of other cards that you want to pull back because they're stronger. So, if you're messing with the graveyard, you need Emit. If you're not messing with the graveyard, you do not need Emit. Apep. Everybody who pre-ordered should have this card. It is super good. This is one card that shuts down Susanoo. This shuts down your opponent in a lot of ways. Because you get to kill that unit for free upon summon. That's almost worth the 9 mana in of itself. Almost. 2/2's worth about 2 of it. Yeah, killing the strongest unit is just super, super good. Then upon its death, you get to resurrect the killed unit under your control. So, you could steal Ramses. It's amazing. I've done it. I have a clip on my Twitch account. It's super, super good. If you're, I think it's on Twitch. The downside with it is sometimes that necessarily doesn't matter. The times that it doesn't matter. So say your opponent plays Apep on you and they kill your Ramses. How do you get around them stealing your Ramses? Because you do have a chance to answer that Death Stare. Before Apep dies, you have a chance to get your Ramses back somehow. You can resurrect him, you can pull him back from hand. If you get him out of the graveyard, somehow, doesn't matter how you get him out of the graveyard, but if he's out of the graveyard when Apep dies, Apep does not resurrect the unit. And so it's amazing. I love it. Great card. Super fun to play around. But we need to kind of move forward, because I've been chatting a while. So neutral cards. Fortunately, I can't just search by which neutral cards came out with Egyptian, but for the most part, I know them. Untapped potential is 1. If target friendly unit has 1 or less power, it gains 3 power. Otherwise, it gains 1. I think this is a great Thor card, because Thor makes your units lose a power if they charge in on the first thing that they're summoned, and you could play Untapped potential and give it 3 power. And then it will gain its lost power at the end of its turn from Thor. I think that would be an awesome way to use this card. Otherwise, it's still a good card. So, I don't have much else to say about that one. None of those are new. None of those are new. I think this guy's new. I'm pretty sure he's new. Gain with power when you summon our demon. Great demon tribal synergy. Super, super good there. You just need a demon deck. Lady Heartsbane. Heartsbane. Steal the power and endurance of target friendly unit. It's still kind of buggy right now, so hasn't been great. So your 1/1 doesn't matter, because you're stealing whatever power and endurance from another creature, and then you're adding 1 to it. So you can steal Ramses' power. That's a friendly unit. If you steal Ramses' power, it doesn't actually go away from Ramses. But essentially, this is a Nephthys. I've seen a benefit Nephthys or other decks where you want a Death Stare unit to die, because you immediately kill that unit. You only play Lady Heartsbane if you want to kill a unit. That's about it. Shaman's Judgment kills the strongest unit, and its owner draws 2 cards. You could kill your own unit if you want to, but it's also a great defensive card, because sometimes your opponent drawing 2 cards hurts them more than it benefits them. But you kind of have to be weary of playing this card. It's only a 3 cost, which is why your opponent draws 2 cards. Or whoever draws 2 cards. But it can still be pretty good. Unworthy, kill target unit with 3 costs or less. This is a priest killer. It kills most priests. It's, I think, every single priest that is specific to a leader is 3 costs. And this kills Susanoo. Well, not really, because Susanoo, it targets it. Unworthy targets whatever unit it's killing. But you just get to kill a 3 cost unit regardless of how much endurance, regardless of how much power. It's a pretty good card. It's a very good defensive card. So I would definitely say run it. None of those are new, I don't think. Punisher might. I think Punisher's new. Oh. Not much to say there. He's only good in the late game. That's about it. Alpha Mushu. This is Alpha Mushu. That's why I'm calling him. That's not how you say that. But the unit on the left has plus 1 power if it's a beast. It just needs. This is essentially the wolf in Norse mythology. It's just on the left, and it has to be a beast. But it has more power and more endurance than that wolf. I don't think that's pretty much about it. This is definitely new. Bridge burners. Destroy target temple's upgrade. If it was not upgraded, deal 2 damage to it instead. Kind of a siege tactics, but also you get to destroy a temple upgrade, regardless of what it is, unless it's Worldly Wonder. I don't have much to say about that. Dry Hill Troll has become much better because there's more beasts now. I think Master Slitter is a ninja, is new. He's got reinforcement, he's 4-1. You pretty much want to play him on your defense so that you can attack with him. But that's pretty much it. That's like he's made to do what he's supposed to do. I think there's a piece Ronin also is new. For each adjacent plant, it's a samurai, so you kind of need to run both samurai and plants. I don't see that being that great of a card, but I would be happy to be proved wrong. He's not new. Questing Beast is new. Definitely a Beast Tribal awesome deck. Awesome card in that deck. Neharta's teaching. Neutral upgrade can go in every deck. When a friendly unit is put on the battlefield, it gains a power. You want to be summoning a lot of units. That's pretty much it. It's really, really good. It's not a static effect. And so there is a fight that I think it's Sanctify in Egyptian, where all units just have 1 extra power. This one is whenever you play it. So the unit is getting buffed. Whenever this temple gets destroyed, every unit their power will remain the same. So, pretty good card. And I think we have 2. We have Ojankanu. Adjacent units have 1 less power. I've never seen this played. I don't know if you will need to see it played, because I don't know. This seems like a bad card, but I haven't been able to think of any good synergies. Stomping Liar, maybe. I called it Elders the first 2 weeks. Holy shoot! This card has saved my rear in so many Norse decks. You usually get to summon a 6/2, which is about 7 cost, roughly, maybe 6. And then you get to put the power of the rest of your friendly units to 4. If they're higher than 4, they will go down to 4. If they're lower than 4, they go up to 4, which is the ideal scenario. In Norse decks, this is super, super good. You just build a board of whatever creatures. Come turn 9, your opponent's set up their defense, you play this screws up their whole plan. Because now all of your units have 4 power and they're most likely attacking. Because you don't want to just play this card unless you can attack with those units. So, super, super good there. But now we need upgrades. And let's find spells. And because there's upgrade. Because each mythology has one. Greek upgrade. Complex stratagem. When you summon a unit on your flank, it gains a power. And it's 2 costs. So it's kind of like this upgrade, but it requires you to summon on a specific spot, one of your 2 ends, and it only costs 2. So for 2 costs, definitely a good upgrade. Not any particular neat synergies or any. It's not overpowered. It's just a good 2-drop. And once you play 2 units on your flanks, this gets its faith cost basically. Raiding Tactics. Great aggro Norse card. Friendly units have +1 power while attacking, and then -1 while defending, and then neutral whenever they don't gain any power or lose any power if they're just sitting there. Not much to say there. It's great aggro. Code of Honor. Ugh. When a friendly unit is attacking alone, it has +1 power for every defender after the first. I think this card sucks. I don't think I will ever run it unless it gets buffed. I think this card sucks. It requires too many things for not enough benefit. So, say your opponent has 5 units, you have 1, you attack with that 1. They defend with their first one, nothing happens. They defend with the next 4. You will gain 4 power. And I don't think it's worth it. I just don't think it's that worth it. For 3 faith in the required scenario to make it worth 3 faith, your opponent needs to have 4 units to make it worth the 3 faith. And I just don't think it's worth it. I don't recommend that card whatsoever. Whereas Sanguine Tradition, while your leader's on the battlefield, all friendly units have +1 power. Definitely a Bullock Chapton card, or a Tazcat, or even a Queso card, because this offsets Queso, but not your opponent's. And then Bullock Chapton and your attacks deal double damage. As long as you can summon him on the battlefield and he's between the sweet spot, you're essentially dealing 2 extra damage per unit with Bullock. So, definitely a great card. So, that's pretty much it. The worst card is probably Code of Honor of the whole set. The best card depends on the deck you're running. The power level is so insane. I mean, just if you want to know how great the power is of the Egyptian mythology, go look at the weekly challenges that are on Facebook or Reddit or even the Discord now, because holy shoot, there are a bunch of ways to buff the power of units. I think the highest someone got their board had 113 power, I think, or maybe it was 108 power with 5 endurance across 5 units. It was insane. So, for now, that is going to be it. I apologize for the long video, but there's like kind of a glance at all of the Egyptian cards and such. I love the mythology. I love it. It's great. I've only been playing Egyptian since it came out, and I have won 30 times with it. I think I've touched Norse since then. Twice. That's about it. And I did hit Master, so I've been sitting at Master. I've only won a couple since the new season, but that was all fun. So, for now, that'll be it. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you guys next time.